Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. This is another episode or another podcast of Beyond the Click and Cliff, and this is a podcast where I talk about stuff other than Lego. This is into my childhood, my life experiences, my stuff behind the Lego part of Click and Cliff, and so I hope you're enjoying these. Where you get a little bit more insight on my life. So yeah, that's where this begins. We didn't have one last week because we had the 72-hour community live stream, and I wasn't going to put a video up of any sort while that was going on. So we're back at it this week. Uh, 2 weeks ago, I did my last podcast of not listening, and that will be tagged at the end of this video if you want to go back and catch up on that. So wait till at the end of the video when my credits and stuff come up, be a little box you can click and go back and listen to it as well if you like. Especially if you like hearing about my past or my childhood experiences. But last week we did not listening. And I had a few comments on there I will go over. Miss Ingrid Wynn comments and confessions can make you stronger. I was kind of confessing last podcast about me not listening and kind of telling you stories what kind of trouble I got into from not listening. Old Brick guy said, I have the same issue. I can be in a conversation and then bam, I'm somewhere else talking about something that is not what we were talking about before. When the wife hates it. Yep, my wife hates it too. I've always been that way in school. I have a attention span of a squirrel that I could be listening, then about 15 minutes later, I could be thinking about what I'm going to do next or later that evening, the next day. And same with my wife. She'll be trying to talk to me about something, and I'll be interested at first, and then I'm like, "Oh, so what are we going to do tomorrow?" And then she's like, "What? That's not what we're even talking about." Yeah, she gets mad at me too. So you're not in the same. I'm in the same boat with you. Uh, Seth Lynn says there are things I definitely wish I would have listened. Yeah, the same here. Life lesson. If I listened more, I'd probably have been better off today. So that is a little recap of where we were at last week. And this week we have my first accident. Now, what's an accident you think of my life? Well, my life, I guess I could have been an accident. I don't know. My parents always told me that. No, I'm kidding. Um, what I had accidents before in my life. You know, bike wrecks. I would go thinking I was the daredevil and jumping stuff, and I was getting wrecks when I was a kid. You know, I've always had spilling drinks and stuff like that. Oh, I mean, accident prone sometimes. Uh, that saying I was a bull in a china cabinet. And that's kind of how I was growing up. But this is a certain story. I was young. Me and a friend of mine got. I think we were just 16. Just got our driver's license, and well, we thought we'd go fishing, which we've done countless times, and we got a new got a new spot where we thought we were going to go. And mind you, this is going to be an hour and a half away from where we lived. Uh, and on a road where, sadly to say, not much traveled. We knew this road, not very many people traveled. What people usually traveled on is people who lived on it. So but it was a way to get to the fishing spot that we found or somebody told us. So anyway, we were driving down. I'd say it was maybe September, something like that. About this time of year. Um, we're like, well, maybe we'll catch something, have some fun. So that's what we did. We decided we'll go fishing. Um, so we went driving, got her loaded up, a cooler of soda, not beer, soda, and we went to loaded up the fishing poles, tackle. We didn't have a boat, so we were just gonna fish off the bank, and this is what we were told a good spot to do that. Well, we were driving down, it was curvy road. If y'all ever been in the Ozarks, hills kind of terrain, these roads are curvy. I mean, it's just like a snake going through the hills down to the river and all that stuff. So, I mean, and so there was a lot of curves, and we were driving, and I don't know, to this day, I don't know what speed we were going. But my buddy, he liked to drive. Let's put it that way. He was proud of his truck, and he did some things to it to make it sound louder and what I call souped up just a little bit. And we went and started driving through the hills and curves like we were in a NASCAR race. Now, I was used to it, so I wasn't really panicking, and we weren't wearing our seatbelts. Well, for some, I mean, kids, and again, I'll say kids, we thought it'd be cool if we would look at a map while we were driving. Yeah, I know, stupid idea ever. But, like I said back then, we were kids. We thought we knew everything, that we were indestructible. We were, superheroes. Nothing can harm us. We're made out of iron and all that. So we looked at the map. We made it through the map just fine. I was looking at it, and of course he had to go. He had to reach over and look at it too, to see where if he was on the right road. Uh, eh, we made it to that. We folded it back up, and I was trying to put it back in the ashtray. That's where we had it in the ashtray, and that's when we messed up. We looked up, and all I saw was a telephone pole in front of us in a culvert. And everything happens in slow mo. Like, we looked at each other, and we were like, "Oh crap!" And he swerved to miss. Luckily, we missed the telephone pole. He swerved to miss that, but we hit the culvert, and we went vroom. And I mean, we didn't flip or nothing. We sat there and we looked at each other. We looked at each other, and it's like, "Holy crap!" And we sat there for a minute. Of course, we asked each other, "Are we okay?" We looked down, and I noticed in my windshield where my head hit the windshield, I hurt my wrist, but I wasn't bleeding that I knew of at that time. But he wasn't bleeding, and we were able to get out of the truck. We, assessed the damages. He tore the front end off, all right off that truck, and the rear end was hanging there. We were in the ditch. And it wasn't. There's another thing, to that. we were behind a Winnebago. Everybody knows what a Winnebago is. It's like an RV. And we couldn't really see around to see what was coming up ahead of us, but we were at a slower speed at that time, I should say. But still, we shouldn't. We should have been paying attention to the road. Nope, not us. Anyway, after we got up, we looked around. Of course, cell phones wasn't available back then. We didn't have cell phones. If we did, it was, if there was, it was those bag phones, and we didn't have that. And there was nobody. There was no houses around. There was nobody. I mean, so me and my friend, we decided, well, I guess we'll walk to the next house and see if we can borrow their phone. So this house was about a mile away. So me and my buddy was walking mile. No cars has passed yet. No cars has passed yet. Um, so we made it to the shop that was there, and we saw a guy in there. And where we were at was kind of sketchy. I mean, there was. This is where drugs are being made. What? It was a sketchy area. We didn't know what we were going to walk ourselves into, but we were hoping that we met one nice guy in this whole area. Um, we're praying that we weren't getting greeted by a gun, trespassing, but we didn't. It was an older gentleman. We told him what happened. So we wrecked a mile down the road, and we use your phone, call our parents and tow truck and PD, whatever. 'Cause I think we did tear up the fence, so we had to get the law involved. And of course, he let us. We called, and he gave us a ride back to our truck and sat with us till the sheriff's department came. The sheriff's department came and done his thing. He didn't give us a ticket, thank goodness, but he did his thing. We called our parents, and of course, we had to wait an hour and a half before our parents can get here, and so parents came. Of course, parents overreact. So we got his truck towed home, and I went home, and he went to his place. We didn't get to go fishing. Um, but the story didn't end there. Got home. I guess the adrenaline rush was still going because I wasn't feeling nothing. Took a shower, and we went over. I went with my parents over to their friend's house for dinner. They do every Saturday night. So me and my mom and dad went over there. I was downstairs. They had a pool table and stuff for us to do while we're there. And I was sitting there. I started hurting bad. Headache came in. I couldn't remember. Started getting. Well, they told me I can remember. What they told me is I started not remembering or not talking, kind of off in my own land. My mom noticed it, and she told my dad that we need to go home. Went to the hospital. Told they took me on to the ER, and we we sat the whole night at the ER. I guess I had I ended up having a concussion and a sprained wrist. Uh, so I had to sit there the whole night for observation, and it was nobody's fault. Uh, but our own, I guess. But we so that was my first accident. Um, I've been in fender benders before. I've actually got rear ended and I rear ended somebody. It's a little scary, but this was a little bit more than that. Now, they don't make vehicles like they used to. Before, you could drive a tank, and it's not going to, I mean, it's all, you're not going to get hurt. Nowadays, it's fiberglass and plastic, and you usually total a car if you hit a speed bump too fast. But that was my first accident. That's where I learned that, kids these days think it's cool to get their first car and think that they're, you know, fast and the furious, where they're unstoppable. But people need to stop and realize, how my dad explained it to me, and I hold this true for my experience being in the fire service, that the vehicles can be a lethal weapon. A lot of people die in vehicle accidents. And you would think some of these accidents I've seen, you'd think they'd live through, but they didn't. So always be cautious when you're driving. Try to pay attention to what you're doing. Don't veer off. Don't look at your phone. Don't look at a radio. Keep your eyes on the road. I mean, that song, that text, that phone call is not as important as you arriving alive. And wear your seatbelt, of course. I think I probably would not have had a concussion if I wore my seatbelt. If I wore my seatbelt, I'd probably been okay. But that's my theory on that. But like I said, accidents going to happen. It's like playing with fire. Sometimes, you know, you may not have an accident, but there's a chance that you will. It may not even be your fault. Always be prepared. Uh, so when you get behind that wheel, be mindful. But but as an experience, boy, that was an experience. It scared me enough to respect, you know, what's going on. My wife lost her twin sister in a vehicle accident. She fell asleep at the wheel. She was working overnights, and they lived in a hilly place, curvy place, and she fell asleep and hit another guy. And she lost her life. So we've been we've been you know affected by that, but you know I'm not. This is ain't a. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm not saying that I'm the best driver in the world because I'm not. Um, but I've seen a lot of things, and I went through my own experiences. So my experiences, what I just get on telling you. I'm sure there's been people out there. There's been a way a lot more accident than that. But like I said, this is my experience. This is my what I'm telling you about my experiences. Uh, so yeah, well, guys, this is gonna be it for the Beyond the Click and Cliff. I hope you enjoyed today. Go back and watch the past podcast if you guys haven't watched it. Um, see, maybe, but like I said, when here in a short minute, when I'll have a link to my last podcast. Click on it if you kind of like it. Um, guys, if you like it, please hit the like button. Make sure you hit the like button. If you would leave me a comment, I'll share it next week's podcast. Hey, subscribe, please subscribe. You can get this content and Lego as well. Guys, be safe, be kind to one another. I will talk to you later. Thank you for watching.